the traditional EOTech optic, the OG, is a holographic sight, which is technically not a red dot. Is that right?
It's really blurry.
Yeah.
In a way.
So I'm Ryan Gresham, and this is Gun Talk Nation. This Gun Talk Nation is brought to you by Rossi, Stag Arms, Range Ready, Ruger, and SDS Imports. All right, welcome into Gun Talk Nation. Today we're going to be talking about optics, hunting, shooting, a little bit of everything with my buddy JB. Welcome in, man.
Thanks for having me.
John Bailey, also known as JB, EOTech, and man, how long have you been with EOTech or some version of EOTech?
Yeah, there's like a 2-year window where a big L3 let me go. But other than that, 2003 is when I got hired. So almost 20 years or so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's been a while. Yeah. L3 used to own EOTech. And I guess if there's you don't have to give us like the boring details, but what's kind of the update on that? I mean, someone bought it from L3, EOTech?
Yep. Yeah, so L3 bought EOTech in like 06, and the good thing about it was they infused a lot of money that we needed to kind of grow.
Corporation.
Yeah, so it helped there, but then all the red tape and bureaucracy and all that stuff, we couldn't get anything done. They didn't know what our business was, so it was a big headache. And then they merged with Harris. Harris is even a bigger corporation than L3. Yeah, they're and they played Alpha Dog. So in 2018, I think is when that happened. Harris basically said, we don't want any commercial companies in
meaning
our portfolio.
Consumers, regular folks.
Yep. So it was in 2020 when they made that decision. So they divested in EOTech, and if you remember through the airport, the scanners that you have to raise your hand and walk through, they considered that a commercial business, and they got rid of that. So
interesting.
The two, and it worked out great because Harris was really, really, and I wasn't there for that time, but they were really, really crushing EOTech. They just couldn't get anything done, couldn't market the way they want. So they sold, and some guys that were with EOTech a long, long time ago got a group together and some investors, and those investors bought, and they brought back almost everybody that kind of made EOTech who they were, and I was one of them. Yeah,
that's cool. I mean, you think about the brands in our industry; they have, the fans have such an affinity for them. I mean, and EOTech is one of those brands.
Yeah,
it's just trusted.
Yep.
Law enforcement, military, but also just regular shooters, hunters, all that stuff.
It's funny. It's hard. Our holographic sight is still some of the greatest technology in our industry.
Yeah.
But people will tell you it's a little long in the tooth. We haven't been able to really come up with a new, better version of that, which tells you a lot about, how we did it in the first place. I mean, they really nailed it. But, it's kind of scary to even jump into something next because that product is so iconic. The look is so iconic. Everybody knows what it is. So, we're still working on bettering our technology, but, everybody knows who we are and what we look like and how we perform. So you almost have to tread lightly to make sure that you're not ruining any of
don't mess it up.
History.
What is it? First rule is do no evil or something like that.
Yeah.
Well, so you're down here, we're filming Guns and Gear. We're doing some stuff with the Vudu line of rifle scopes, Vudu X specifically, the new stuff. But I think a lot of people know EOTech. Perhaps, in my impression, Vudu Optics been around for several years, but people are still perhaps learning about it and learning it exists.
Yeah.
I mean, it's EOTech by Vudu or Vudu by EOTech or whatever, however you put it. But I think there's a lot of, in the optics world, the truth is a lot of people can be an optics company. Someone will make you an optic, right?
Yep.
But when you guys jumped into the Vudu line, when people actually got in their hands, they were really kind of like, oh, This isn't like EOTech saying, oh, let's just have some rifle scopes. I
Right.
mean, they're really quality.
They are. That was the most important thing for us is if we were going to do it, it had to have the same performance, durability, dependability that all of our other products had. So glass clarity, turret adjustments, all those things had to be top notch. And then even testing. If you go to our facility, production is production, but we have one of the best test facilities in the industry. I can guarantee nobody can surpass what we do. And we put our Vudu scopes and even these new Vudu X scopes through the same thing we put that holographic sight through.
Really?
All the recoil, the environmental,
Wow.
all that stuff. Because people, when they're buying our product, we feel they're buying it because of the reasons that put us on the map for the holographic sight. So we don't want to chintz on any of that stuff and then, potentially hurt the brand or hurt the perception.
I find that over the years, we get to play with all of the stuff. And I find that when a brand has pretty high-end products, guns, ammo, optics, whatever it may be, and that's where they play is up here on the upper tier of quality, but also price. When they do say, we're going to bring out something that's not quite as expensive, I think the consumers benefit hugely.
Yeah.
Because typically, to me, that brand is not willing to put something out to achieve a price point and then have the quality not be there.
You can't.
Right? So, I mean, perhaps it's a little bit harder going the other way. If you're like a value price brand, we have a $300 gun and now we're going to have a $1,000 gun. People are like, do you know how to make $1,000 gun? And sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. But I mean, we're talking about scopes that are $1,800, right?
Some go past 2,000. Yep.
And then now we have an $800 scope. You guys aren't willing to go, well, we got down the price point. It's not that good, but that's not.
I always kind of chalk it up to, your grade point average in high school. It took forever to get yourself up to a 3.5 or a 4.0, and that's where you want to position yourself. One crappy gym class or one, that where you get a D, it drops that whole thing down so much. And then you got to hopefully fight to build it back up. And with the brand, you can't do that. So you got to be really cautious. And if you're going to start getting into second price points that you're not into, that you don't go get too greedy, because the market for scopes, I mean, the big market is $199 to $399.
Right.
I mean, millions and millions of scopes.
Right.
So it would make sense for us to try to get into that just for the volume, but
We probably couldn't. I mean, and keep what you want as a brand.
right, you can't. So it would be EOTech creating a new brand or something like that, but we're not into that. So, and you're right. I think people do benefit from having a successful high-end line that what people are and why people are buying that, and you could still incorporate all of those features into something, but compromise in areas where you can without much sacrifice.
Sometimes that's just simplifying the product. It's not making it not as good. It's just,
Right.
okay, it has a crazy reticle. Well, we don't, these people don't desire crazy reticle. We don't have to have that. We can just do a duplex reticle and still have the durability, because that doesn't affect anything about the durability, right? But it is a way to perhaps save cost for the
turrets
buyer.
the turrets are another one, that you'll see on our standard Vudu stuff. They're really robust, good turrets. Some have locking mechanisms to it. Some
Because the
have zero
people
stop.
shooting it are making those adjustments, and like a regular target shooter or hunter, a lot of times they sight it in and that's it.
That's right. Yep. Yeah. So we cap those and you set it, and it's going to hold zero really, really well, but you put a cap on it and you don't have to mess with it at all. So it's those kind of compromises that we did, but we didn't compromise any of the durability or performance features of it. I feel they're really, really dependable optics. You can trust that shot that you need to take.
Yeah, very cool. Vudu X. All right, JB, we're going to take a quick break, and then I want to talk about explain the difference between holographic and red dots.
Okay. You're going to get haters.
You might know Aero Precision as an AR-15 maker or a maker of build kits for AR-15s. They do that. They do a great job with it. But one of the new ones is the Solus, which is a bolt action. But they kind of kept with that builder heritage. So they've got short action, they have complete rifles, they have chassis, they have barreled actions. Any way that you'd like to do this. The Solus works to provide hunters, competitors, and shooting enthusiasts with a custom shooting experience. It was designed and built around the core belief that equipment should not be the marksman's limiting factor under any use case. So go check it out. A lot of different ways to build out and customize a bolt gun from Aero Precision, aeroprecisionusa.com. And if you want to save money, go over to gundealio.com. Sign up for our daily deals email. We scour the internet for deals. We have guns, ammo, optics, gear, and we also have a little place on there that is our secret discount codes. And I think right now, as I look at this, we probably have about 20 to 25 different companies that have given us different discount codes. Gun Talk 10, Gun Talk 20, Gun Talk 20, all kinds of stuff. I'm not going to give you all these codes. You got to go to gundealio.com, click on codes at the top, and you'll see ways to save money. Ruger, it's their 75th anniversary, started in 1949, 75 years of Ruger. And to celebrate it, they have a 75th anniversary model of their SR 1911. And man, this is a really good looking gun. 45 auto, 5-inch barrel, features the R75 serial number prefix and embellished with a laser engraved slide, custom grip panels, and detailed scroll work to match the engraved slide. Classic original 1911 fire control system. Great looking gun, and it's going to be a great shooting gun. Go check it out at Ruger.com. TSAS, TISAS, TSASUSA.com. They're part of the SDS Imports, and one of their brands is the TSAS PX Gen 3 Duty Night Stalker. It's a long name, but it's an incredible value for a very nice shooting gun. It's kind of, I guess you would call the modern striker-fired gun, but they did a lot of nice features to this. One of the things that you can do is customize the grips, but not just the back panels, the side panels as well. It's very cool. Boasting capacity of 20 rounds of 9mm ammo from a reliable P226 pattern magazine. Yeah, you know those magazines. They exist. They're easy to find, easily available, so we like that. And it's incredible. This gun, tricked out, MSRP is $379. So a ton of value in these guns. Go over to tsasusa.com to learn more. Rossi has been doing lever gun rifles for a long time, lever actions, but they've expanded recently. Swift, light handling, the legendary Rossi R92, built on the proven Model 92 lever action, now available in 454 Casull. When you're really mad at something and you want to hit it really hard. Rossi lever actions, go check them out. They have all kinds of finishes. They have black finishes. They have stainless. They have hardwood. They've got triple black wood, black Cerakote with big loops, kind of more traditional styles. It's actually amazing as I scroll through here, all the different ones. The 4570 Trapper, the Rio Bravo Tactical. They have the little 22 long rifle lever guns, about the most fun you can have standing up. Go check them out, rossiusa.com. All right, so JB, red dots. Red dot has become the description for like almost any optic that has an illuminated reticle in it, right? And I guess you're the guy to talk about this because EOTech makes red dot sights. Mm-hmm. And I'm going to use that term too. And then you make the traditional EOTech optic, the OG, is a holographic sight, which is technically not a red dot. Is that right?
It's really blurry. In a way.
So, I mean, maybe explain the difference, because I think it'll help people listening to go, oh, okay. Yeah. It all looks like it's a glowing reticle, red reticle or whatever it might be, but they're different.
Yeah. And we always used to hate on the red dot for two reasons. One, it's not as good of a optical solution as a holographic sight. And too, a lot of times you get so many cheap ones out there that, they don't fall into the same category as some of the higher end red dots. But
True.
Most of it is really, there's an optical path that red dots don't have to follow. A red dot is what they call a reflex sight. There's a really simple LED. LEDs have been around for years, and it basically points at the front glass, and the front glass is concave and reflects that dot back to your eye. So you're able to see that, superimpose it over your target, and pull the trigger. So they work. They're two eyes open shooting. You could zero do all that stuff. So, they work well. With holography, it's a lot more complicated system, but you get additional benefits out of it.
Okay.
So there's a really kind of a complicated optical path that bounces a laser diode instead of an LED, a laser diode across a couple different mirrors and collimators, but eventually brings it back to your eye in a different way.
So it's not just shooting to the glass and bouncing it off. It probably would be bad for your eye. Yes?
Well, yeah, it actually is coming up on an angle that it's not.
It just doesn't work that way.
It's not on the direction of your eye, but it's illuminating that back glass that holds this emulsion. I don't want to get too crazy into it, but it's the magic of holography that recreates that image. But the biggest advantage is because we use a laser diode, it's a true point source. It is way, way smaller than 1 MOA. But your eyes and my eyes can't pick it up smaller than 1 MOA.
Okay.
So we have the smallest dot in the industry. We will always have the smallest dot in the industry.
An LED cannot get that small. Is that right?
They can't. I think some are trying to get into 1 MOA, but where you struggle with that, unless you get some LEDs that can have the ring, you need the dot to be big enough to be able to bring up and find quickly. But you also need it small enough that if you're hitting 100, 200 yards, you're not covering up much of your target. So there's a sacrifice on. So usually you see people in the 3 or 4 MOA range to get both of those things. We can make any reticle pattern we want. That's
another difference, right?
Yeah. So we do less lethal stuff. We do unique things for like 300 blackout, and we're doing this new DCR reticle that maybe we can talk about. So we can create anything we want. What we found is that 68 MOA ring gives you the speed onto target that no other red dot can do. And that's what the special forces like about it is it's a big, wide field of view, big window, easy to find ring to get you on target. But if you are shooting at distance, that dot's covering up an inch at 100 yards as opposed to maybe 3 or 4 inches.
So the center dot is a 1 MOA?
For you and I to see it as 1 MOA, it's much smaller than that. So that's why when you put a magnifier behind ours, the dot doesn't get any bigger because you're just magnifying this tiny, tiny dot 3 times. It's still not 1 MOA.
Yeah.
So that's the other benefit of holography is when you put a magnifier behind it, you'll see the ring gets bigger, but the dot stays the same size. So now you're seeing a target 3 times bigger.
Which is more important when you are magnifying it.
That's right.
Because you're shooting at distance and
you don't need
a 1 MOA. Yeah, I mean, if you're shooting at a 8-inch circle, you don't want to be covering up half or most of it.
Yeah. Yeah, you have a 8-inch circle at no magnification, and then your 8-inch circle is 3 times bigger with a 3x magnifier, but the dot stays 1 MOA. So you can be a lot more accurate with holography. So that's really the biggest advantage is the reticle. We're able to do more of like a heads up or a TV screen. So we're not tubular. You don't have that where if there's any canting, you kind of lose it. It's really easy to find. So field of view, reticle, dot size, speed to target are really what makes holography better than a red dot.
One of the downsides or whatever, the differences is also battery life. Holographic sight is different from an LED. LED, you're going to have longer battery life, apples to apples. Is that right?
An LED will crush us.
Okay.
That's really our only kryptonite. But
you guys have reflex sights too.
We do. But we also,
E-flex.
I mean, our holographic sights still give you 2,000 hours at a middle setting. So it's not like it's a 8-hour flashlight or something like that.
Right.
But when you're comparing it to a 5-year battery life of a CR2032 on a red dot, we don't touch it. But our all right, so you got to change your battery every time daylight savings or something like that, just so that's our problem. And the reason why is that we're powering a laser diode as opposed to an LED. But the trade-off is you get all those extra things that the laser diode provides.
So when you say we can make the reticle look like anything we want, the one I always think about is the zombie reticle, the biohazard reticle. Which is not made anymore, right?
No, I think us and Hornady were really the only two companies that made out on the whole zombie craze. It was actually my prior boss's son said, you should make that biohazard reticle. And we did it. It cost us virtually nothing. And we sold just a ton of them.
Really?
Just a ton of them.
It was such a crazy, I don't know when that was, maybe 8 or 9 years ago.
Yeah.
That the zombie thing was just everywhere, especially in the gun industry. I mean, we had zombie ammo, the zombie reticle. Everything was green.
All the green furniture.
Everything was green. That was about also the time that Laserlight brought out the pistol bayonet.
Oh yeah, right.
Which if you don't know about the pistol bayonet, you got to Google that. My buddy Aaron from Laserlight was like, yeah, people laugh about that, but we sold a lot of those. I
believe it.
And it was a K-bar knife that had the pick attachments. You could put it on the pick rail of your pistol.
I have one still.
Do you really?
Oh yeah.
Yes. Yep. I mean, it was, it's just totally shareable, and kind of the brilliance of this. And Aaron was always very price conscious of what they were up to. And I think he priced it at like $99. Kind of like, okay, I don't have to ask my wife, and it's almost cheap enough where you might buy it for a relative or a friend or something that's just like, this is awesome.
Yeah, gift.
Yeah.
The one that I liked, I don't think they sold too many, but and I can't remember who even made it, but do you remember the chainsaw attachment that like went on almost like a 203 launcher?
I think Double Star.
Yeah, that's what it was. Double Star.
That. Yeah,
right
it was
next
Nick.
to us. Yeah. Yep.
that they made some waves with that. Like, I want to say somebody maybe in the not friendly gun media, some mainstream media outlet took a picture of it.
I believe it.
And they're like, look at this at SHOT Show. They're talking about putting chainsaws on rifles. Like, guys, that was a joke. Why would you chainsaw someone when you have a rifle?
Right.
I don't have to get that close.
I don't know. The same logic is, why would you stab somebody with your pistol?
Yeah, it was totally ridiculous. It wasn't like, I mean, you just imagine like you're holding a pistol and you're trying to stab. I mean, it's still a thing. It's still,
you never know.
They sold a bunch of them. All right, so now we're going to talk about weird. This isn't even on the plan, but I'll tell you one that I don't think exists anymore. But I'm going to tell you the product, and I'm going to tell you the backstory. G-Hog ammo. Okay. Do you remember this? Okay. So there was this ammo company called G-Hog, and we're like, oh, I guess it's for hunting hogs. Like, okay. And then they reach out to us, and I'm like, okay, they wanted to maybe like do some advertising or something. And he explains that the ammo is rolled in pig juice. Oh,
yeah, I did hear about that.
That's right. I was like, wait, what?
Yep.
He's like, yeah, because the terrorists, they wouldn't like this. And I was like, okay. I was thinking, sounds a little bit strange, but I mean, I could see as a gag gift or something. And I said that. I was like, no, I mean, I could see that kind of being funny. He goes, no. He cut me off. No. This is not a funny product. We view this as a deterrent to terrorism. I'm like, whoa, really?
Wow.
Okay. I mean, best of luck with it.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's right for us, but it's interesting.
I understand the play on words now with the G-Hog.
It was a good name.
Yeah.
G-Hog ammo.
Yeah.
But I think if he had just said, yeah, it's funny.
Right.
Then he probably would have sold, $1 million of ammo.
Yep.
But going, no, this is a deterrent to terrorism. I'm like, really though?
Is it?
I don't know. I'm not an expert in terrorism culture, but
no, and honestly, you never know what might get picked up that way. But I think you're right. Safer would have been more of as a novelty.
Yeah.
Everybody would have bought a box just to kind of tell that little story.
Yeah. Have it out there.
Yeah.
Yeah, the products in the in our world, you get some funny things over the years. Yeah.
Yeah, you do. And some, we weren't expecting that zombie reticle to do what it was, but even if it sold 1/10 of that, it would have been successful for us and a good story, and got a lot of media and press. But you just never know. Maybe not that G-Hog, but you never know what might just be the next.
The bleeding zombie targets.
Yeah,
that was a thing.
Right.
Oh my gosh, we did an episode. I think you were on it actually. I think we did some stuff. Of Gun Venture or Gun Talk Television. That was like the zombie episode. Yeah. And I just saw Rich Grossi recently, and I said, "You were on that episode." He goes, "I was." I said, "Yeah, because we were at a gun site event with Mossberg and EOTech."
That's right.
And I said, and we were pulling people off to the side and asking them about what are they doing to prepare for the zombie apocalypse. And Rich, who is, I don't know, 30-year cop.
Right.
Super dry kind of guy. And it's like, Rich, what are you doing to prepare for the zombie apocalypse? And everybody's having fun with it. And they're like, my favorite gun would be this. And Rich goes, well, more importantly, I think I would just turn off the movie and the apocalypse would be over. And I'm like, oh, geez. He goes, I said that? I'm such a jerk. And I'm like, no, we put it into the episode.
Oh, that's perfect. Yeah.
Just turn off the movie and it'd be over. Okay, Rich, you're no fun. Come on. But we did kind of, at the end, we did kind of say, okay, yeah, we probably aren't really worried about that. But as far as like being prepared for things, I need to have food and water and shelter and supplies and medical and maybe the guns and ammo part is another way to be prepared. I mean, okay, whatever.
Part of it, yep.
Yeah, it works.
Right.
I kind of, anything that can motivate people to go shoot more, train more, be prepared, I'm in favor of.
Yeah, no question.
Without the paranoia.
Yeah, right. But you never know. I mean, a day can come where you need a fraction of that training, so why not be prepared for it?
Yeah, even just crazy guy, in the neighborhood.
Yeah.
Bath salts are everywhere, people. I don't know. You never know. What else has been going on? You been doing any shooting?
Not a whole lot of shooting. Did some hunting in the fall. Just got done doing a really cool 2-day helicopter deal with coyotes and hogs and stuff like that. And I went up in a helicopter one time just to kind of see the territory, and I was able to shoot a hog for about 10 minutes. So I've always heard about how great it is to do that. And I was able to go down to southwest Texas, like right at the border of Mexico. A lot of border stuff going on at that time. And they are trying to restore the antelope population down there. And so we worked with the state. We had 4 biologists with us. And their goal is to kind of wipe out the coyote population there because they're wiping out the antelope babies. Mm-hmm. So we went up in a helicopter. I got to do it twice for about a 4 or 5 hour run, using 223 and our EOTech EXPS, and it's the funnest thing I've ever done.
Perfect for that.
Oh my gosh.
So talk about the shooting, because I would think, you got a lot of trigger time on it, and at some point, this is different. You're in a helicopter, coyotes are running, helicopters alongside of them or whatever. It's a little bit different in making the shot, right?
It's totally different. Yeah, and the pilot, he's a great guy, but I was almost getting mad because he either does it a lot, but he critiques everything you're doing. But you said it. So you see a coyote, he brings the helicopter back around and gets the coyote kind of running, and then he tries to stay parallel. But this thing is zigging and zagging and cutting and all that. And so he's basically saying, if I bring the helicopter up, you have to aim down a little bit to compensate for it. And if I bring the helicopter down, you have to. So, and I'm thinking, I don't have any time for that. I'm just trying to put it on the coyote, and I got tons around. So
I got accuracy by volume here.
And it's not going anywhere. If I miss, we just keep chasing. So I kind of ignored what his suggestions were. And I had a couple where I shot first round and dumped it. And then I had others where, you're just, as you think you're taking a good shot, it just zigs a little bit, and it took 7 or 8 or 9 shots to get it down. But
that's wild.
yeah, it is.
Coyote's
so fun.
moving, you're moving up and down. I mean, not just. I mean, you're moving in a 360.
Well, those things
situation.
go like 35 miles an hour too.
Yeah.
So you're trying to knock it down, and it's running through brush and all that. So it's not like a straight line where he could just run right next to it.
Yeah.
So once we got to, we scared up a couple groups of hogs, and those were like shooting beach balls compared to coyotes. Sure. It's like, this is easy, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, we dumped a lot. They were really happy with our run on coyotes. We had 2 bobcat too, which was even a tougher shot. So that's
neat.
It was fun. It really highlighted our product really well, because you can't do that with definitely not with like 1 to 6 type stuff.
No,
the eye relief and all that is so critical.
Yeah, you need a big wide field of view like you guys have.
Yep. So it has to be holographic or red dot, and you just need a pilot to put you there and just keep shooting until you.
So I don't want to forget, we were talking about reticles. Talk about the new Danger Close reticle that you guys brought out.
So DCR is what we're calling it, Danger Close. It's really just a variant of our popular 68 MOA ring with the dot. But what we've found, and there's a lot of people that have home defense guns now, and law enforcement and all that use our stuff for that. But so we took our 68 MOA ring and we took the top part of the ring off just to kind of clean up the reticle a little bit.
Okay.
We cut out the bottom part. So now you really have just the parentheses, I call it, of the ring.
Okay.
So if you ever did need to do any range estimation, you still can cant it 90 degrees and do range estimation. But in place of that lower ring portion, we put a really easy to see chevron. So there is an aiming point. So really on a 5.56 gun, if you're zeroed at 50, you're probably zeroed somewhere around 200 as well. So you have a normal distance, a longer distance, and then for your point of aim, point of impact shift for close indoor environments, you use that chevron, which is like a 7-yard zero. And we were just out on the range with Chris, and it was spot on.
It's so cool, because some people know optical offset if you've done some training, but the optic, and then more specifically the reticle, that aiming point is sitting somewhere in the 2 to 3 inches above the bore height.
Yep.
And when you sight in a gun at 50 or 100 or whatever it is, it's on at 50 or 100, but obviously an EOTech not magnified is great for close-up work too.
Right.
And 7 yards, which is more of like either a SWAT or home defense or whatever that might look like. The thing is, if you have to make an accurate shot, guys, pro tip, your hold point, your hit is going to be 2 to 3 inches lower than what you think it is on a regular hold, on that dot, that aiming point, because of you're so close and the height over bore. Right? Yep. I'm saying this right. I'm struggling to say it. But so now you don't have to think about it. You got the chevron. That's your aiming point for close up.
Yep. Yeah. And with like if you're using a red dot, just a single dot, you can still do the same thing. You're just going to be holding into space. So you'll never really probably precisely get that gap.
Yeah.
So you might not have as great of a shot, but when you have that aiming point that you can go to, a lot more confident, and it makes up all that difference in height over bore.
Yeah. Yeah, that's really cool. And that kind of goes back to the whole holographic sight thing of like, we can make kind of any reticle we want.
Yep.
Which is neat.
Yeah, it's awesome. We've kind of limited what we can do because we've done so many different things. We have 50 cal for BMGs. We have unique reticles for the 240 Bravos and less lethal. But this was kind of a new thing to do that kind of gets you that home defense reticle. Yeah.
And if you've got an AR and you don't have an optic on it, that's like got to be the next step. Like you need an optic on your AR for whatever it is. And even like this EOTech, it's not magnified.
Nope.
But even with that, we're talking, you've probably seen some far shots, but 200-yard gun easily, right?
Yeah. I think easy because you're, I mean, the target's going to be that much, smaller at 100, 200, 300, but that dot doesn't get that big. So at 300 yards, granted, you can see your target well, your dot's only 3 inches on that target. So if you're hitting 8-inch steel, you're still able to put that on there and see it clearly and pull the trigger.
Yeah. Yeah. It's very cool. Thanks for being on with us, man.
I appreciate it. I love coming down here.
This is fun. So, you guys need to go, I guess, look up EOTech, pistol bayonets, and G-Hog ammo.
Zombie. Yeah, you can find a zombie site probably on eBay.
Probably so. Yes. Zombiespecialist.org or something.
Yep.
All right, guys. That's it for us. We'll see you next time on Gun Talk Nation. To see all of Gun Talk's content, go to guntalk.com, guntalktv.com, or sign up for the Gun Talk newsletter.